Hello campers, Dr. Dickie here. Starting a new channel, starting a new adventure, and you're welcome to come along with me. What it is I'm going to try to build a do-it-yourself Powerwall. Why? Well, I live down here in Florida, and for Florida we prep for hurricanes. Right now it's at the end of hurricane season 2020. It's in November, and it's ending up. I want to be ready for June of next year. I have right now 4 solar panels, each one's 175 watts for a total of approximately 0.7 kilowatts. That's theoretical, of course. And I have 2 200 amp hour lead acid batteries, 2 100 amp hour lead acid batteries. Not nearly enough capacity. So my plan is to build a 10 kilowatt hour battery Powerwall, and that's going to be made of 18650 batteries. Right now what I have is powering up a small backup refrigerator and a few other things. My 10 kilowatt, I want to be able to power up the backup refrigerator, our main refrigerator should the power go out, and maybe a few lights, even a fan, because it gets kind of hot when you have the power out down here. What happens? Well, typically where we live, when a hurricane comes by, and as long as it's not a direct hit or whatever, we might lose power for a day or two. So I'd like to be able to at least do 3 days of running things without even having the solar panels hooked up. That's probably not possible with 10 kilowatt hours, but I'd rather have 20 or 30, but we're going to start with 10. So what are we going to do? Going to try to get the Powerwall built and then fix up my solar array to have more capacity there all before June of next year. That is what the plan is. So you're welcome to join me. If you really want to find out about Powerwalls, I have to say, you can go to Jehun Garcia out in California. He's been doing it for about 10 years. He has a ton of stuff about Powerwalls and battery builds and things of that nature. Average Joe does. Another one is HP Powerwall in Australia. He's got a ton of information on his YouTube channel. Those are probably the big 3 that I can think of off the top of my head. But I don't know what I'm doing. I've never done anything like this before. So I'm going to figure it out as we go along. And like I said, you're welcome to join me to figure it out if you'd like. We'll see. Going to start, well, I'm going to try to keep this update, again, I'm hopefully to be done with this by June. So it's going to be over several months, and I'll put up videos when I can. Don't know how fast I'll be able to do that, maybe only one a month or something, we'll see. But we're going to start where we normally start, and that is getting the cells. You've got to collect all the 18650 cells, you've got to capacity test them all, and then you've got to get them all sorted out. So that's where we're going to start, and then when we get ready to start building packs, I'll do that update then. Right now, let's look at the cells. Okay, these are the 18650 batteries that I have so far gotten out of their packets and have capacity tested them. They're separated into bins that go by 1/10 of a milliamp. I know that's too fine of a division, but these are all LG26 batteries. They all came out of these packs here, which I'll show you how to take those apart in a second. So they're all very, very similar capacity. I have a range of 2.59 to say 2.79, but there's like one 2.79. And I think almost all of that range comes more from the Opus capacity testers that I'm using than it does from the actual batteries themselves. They're all very, very close. So it doesn't hurt to separate them the way I have. Again, this goes by 1/10 of a milliamp. There's about 1,200 batteries there. I have maybe another 400 more to go. Where are they? Well, I have those 2 packs that I just showed you, plus I have all these to do. So, let me show you how to take these packs apart. Okay, I take these packs apart in this box so that the bits and pieces that fly around, mostly it's this rubberized stuff, doesn't get all over the house. These packs, I believe, were medical packs, therefore they weren't used very often, and so the batteries are all in very, very good shape. And I got them from Battery Clearinghouse. They had a great sale on these. I should have probably gotten more, but I got a lot, got 1,600. They were in packs. These are 20 to each pack here. Each bundle that they sold had 8 of these in here for 160 batteries, and it was about $85 per bundle plus shipping. So a little over 50 cents a cell, which is very, very good. Let me get my tools here. So I used to use some side cutters, but these electronic ones are just as good. They're just a little bit difficult to rip stuff off because you tend to cut it rather than rip it, but that's fine with this. So I typically first do this side of the pack. They're obviously in series and parallel, so don't want to short them out. But once I get this side done, then I've broken the series, and so I don't have to be quite as careful. For these, this is the main negative to the BMS, and this is the main positive to the BMS. So I like to cut those off first, no particular reason, just to kind of, because they're all hooked to the BMS. Each one is hooked, for the sensors on both sides. Okay, so then typically come from this end. And of course, obviously, I have to be careful not to let this touch that because it would form a short. Don't want to do that. But once you get used to doing it, you don't want to get lackadaisical. But it is a little bit easier to do, so I don't have to worry about that problem as much. All right, so let's cut these off first. These metal pieces that come off, if you don't know, if you haven't done anything like this before, they are like the razor blades when you're popping them off. They will cut you in a second. And of course you want to cut down these pieces here. But this metal that comes off, that's another reason for the box, is that you don't want to get these on the floor, because if you step on them, they will cut your foot right open, as I have done several times. And again, like I said, the disadvantage of these compared to what I used to use, the side cutters, is that these tend to cut more easily than just rip stuff out. Of course, you want to get those nibs off as best you can. So I typically take these off as well, so I don't, when I'm moving the BMS and stuff, I don't end up cutting myself up, which I'll probably end up doing during this video anyway. So again, got these battery packs from Battery Clearinghouse. Really good deal on them. They've all tested just exceptionally well. I lost when I first pack I got from them. They had removed a lot of this and done a lot of the opening on it, and they had actually damaged 2 cells doing it. I don't know how, because since then I have not damaged hardly any cells getting them out of the pack. Getting the packs, I should say, opened up. I have done it when I'm trying to get the packs apart, and that was my own fault, and I figured out what I did, and I got a total I'll have a total maybe of 7 or 8 damaged cells out of 1,600 in the end. So I haven't had any loss, like I said, due to capacity testing or due to other tests. I've checked the impedance in most all of these. I haven't checked all of them, obviously. I've checked some just to see what it is. And it's always right around 43, 45 milliohms. So not too bad for an internal resistance. Pretty good. I don't expect to get any heaters out of this. I don't expect to get any losses. So I will just, as you can see, just pull these apart, and then you basically do the same thing on the other side. So I will fast forward through this until we get to removing the BMS and then actually taking the pack apart to get the cells out. I'll show you how you do that and what I learned. Okay? Here, first thing I like to do is get these sensors out and across so I can get to removing this rubberized stuff everywhere, because it gets everywhere. And then of course here's the temperature sensor. That rubberized stuff just gets in everything. All right, let's get this out. Can be a little bit more reckless on this side, although I won't be, simply because the series is broken. So this set of cells are not attached to these, are not attached to these, are not attached to these, not attached to these. Everything's undone, so you don't have to worry about so much touching from here to there. Won't do anything because they're disconnected on the other side. You now see why I did it in the box. And like I said, these pieces of metal, boy, if they get on the floor and you step on them, slice your foot wide open easily. And I could show you the battle scars, but I'm not going to. You don't want to see my troll feet. My size 15 troll feet. You don't want to. Nobody wants to see that. I do not cut these because they are actually still hooked up to the BMS, and when the BMS is still getting sensing, it still gets power. I think after I cut off the mains that it's no longer getting any power to be able to power those, but I don't know for sure. And so I know that they used to be powered up when I first started doing it, so I realized maybe not cutting those would be a good idea because I don't want to short it. I cut it with a pair of metal pliers. Okay. So I don't know if Battery Clearinghouse has any more of these packs left. I bought 10 of them, so like I said, 1,600 batteries. My plan is to make a Powerwall that is about 10 kilowatt hours, and so I need 7 SP160s, so 160 batteries per. So that's everything cut. Now I can get the BMS off. And I do that just by breaking it off of there. I tend to like to clean off this rubber before I go try and pull the actual pack apart to get the cells out. And it just seems to work better that way, and I'll show you how to do that when we go out to the garage. Okay, so here's the battery pack. Now, obviously I've got everything broken on it, but you got to get the pack apart. And there's these posts that go down, 3 of them, that are screwed down there. And I guess I could go down in there and dig in, try and find those screws, but it's easier just to drill it like this and break those screw points down there. That's what really kind of holds this together. I know it's kind of messy out here, but that's because that's been processing a lot of these things. So then the next thing is that we need to break off either the top or the bottom. And the way I typically do it is I first just kind of break it, and then I try and, if I get lucky, I can get the whole top piece to come off. I don't know if you'll be able to see this because I got to put my hand right over top of it, but all but the last bit. Then I can pull these out. And so where I damaged the cells before were when I was drilling it. I drilled down too far, too hard, and sometimes it would come out the side and it would scratch and dent the edge of the cell. And even though it was really minor and just a touch, I've got extra cells specifically so that I don't have to take any cells that I think are in any way, shape, or form questionable. Now you can see where all that rubber stuff is just on everything. And so you got to get it, wipe it off of all the cells. It sticks everywhere. I got this, and I'll show you what that's going to be for later. And then of course, whoops, I have the bus bars that I'll be making for my packs. And we'll get into all that later when I start getting ready to put the packs together. Right now, I still got 400 cells to process. I have the Mega Cell Charger, 2 of them, sort of ordered, I guess. And I was hoping that they were going to get here in October so I could do much of this that way. They didn't. So I've been doing it with 2 of this. And it takes a long time. But like I said, I've gotten to where there's just about 400 cells left to process. There are some that came through at like 2580 and 2570 milliamps, and I really am probably going to redo those because I just don't believe that. I don't believe that's true. Probably the 27s are not true either, and I may reprocess some of those. But otherwise, the variation is so small it doesn't really make any difference. I will use packer, repacker, battery packer to figure out how to make up the 160p, but I don't think it'll really make a huge difference. They're so close. The batteries are all the same. Whoop. I zoomed in and then I'm probably going off camera shot to do that. I might redo that, I don't know. This is a sort of a mock-up of what one of my cells is going to look like. This right here is 3 10 gauge, 3 12 gauge strands twisted together. I went online and they said it's about equivalent to about 3 gauge. I can't decide whether I'm going to put a single connector on this end, cut these off and put them together, single connector that goes to the next one, or I'm going to hook on some cables. I've got some 175 amp Anderson connectors I could use, but that's kind of the mock-up. None of those cells have been processed yet, so I do have to process them. I'm going to take this apart so I can process them. I still got another, say 600 or so cells I got to process, and I've processed about 800 so far. Okay, well that's the plan. To make a 10 kilowatt at least Powerwall as backup energy when the lights go out, the electricity goes out, possibly during a hurricane. I think I said Jehun, and it's really Jehu Garcia out in California. Him, Average Joe, HP Powerwall, and also Lithium Solar, forgot to mention him as well. Those 4 are the big ones to find out a lot of information. But I kind of jumped into everything here, and I really want to give you the benefit of my ignorance. So I'm going to make a video probably in the next couple of weeks, maybe even next week, where I'm going to go through and kind of detail some of the things. I'll show you 18650 batteries, show you some of the ins and outs of them, show you how you capacity test, what does different terms mean, capacity versus energy versus all that different stuff, to try to educate myself, and I'll bring you along for the ride in case there's some people that don't know a lot of that and they want to find a place where you can get it all together. I'll try to do that here. So if you think you're interested, you can give me a like, a subscription, whatever, and we'll try to get this Powerwall done in the next couple of months, which is what I really want to do. All right, Dr. Dickie here, and I'll see you in the next video.